So one thing that I haven't really talked a lot, but has gotten me to where I am today, probably the most out of anything and everything, is the consistency that I offer to my clients. Just showing up, being on shoots on time, delivering footage on time, delivering the videos on time, whatever the case is, and just being consistently good. Not great necessarily, because like I know a lot of videographers in town that are great, but they're not consistent. Like there might be a video here that's just terrible, or they're just late, or they're just hard to work with. I think I really pride myself on, like, I understand I'm not the best videographer in town. There's people like Justin McClure Creative, or Valhalla Media, or Digital Brand. Like there's these amazing production companies, but when it comes to like solo videographers, I mean, like, it's a whole different ball game of, like, when you work with the people like the Digital Brand team, they're amazing. So it's like you understand what you're getting with a full production team. But when you're hiring like a solo videographer, there's no one to catch a slip up when working with a solo videographer. So you got to be really certain on who you're picking to do your work. Again, and that's where, like, I've always tried to pride myself on, like, I know how to do next day turn on content if needed. I will stay up and make sure that content is delivered if that is what the client requests. I'll show up early to make sure my lighting's all set up. I will, like, do my best on set to make sure the shoot goes as well as possible. Like, I've worked and hired so many videographers to come and help me, and they just miss the mark almost every single time. And it even would, like, put me off to hiring help and just trying to do things on my own, which kind of ties back into that last video of, like, that's why I almost transitioned into this corporate world even faster than I thought I initially would, because it's hard to find consistent people nowadays. Like, so many people are just after the quick buck, and it's honestly stupid and annoying. Like, the where I'm at today is all based off of connections that I've fostered over time. Like, I've never looked at certain people and been like, oh, that's a quick buck. Like, the amount of things that I've done for free just to foster relationships to set myself up for the future is crazy. Like, there was so many things where I'm like, oh, okay, why am I doing this for free? But then I'm realizing, like, it's setting me up for success in the future. It's bringing those clients back. It's fostering that relationship with them, because, like, I really want to get in and show somebody how I work before I make them pay for me. Because also, too, I'm scouting them as much as they're scouting me, for the fact of, there's a lot of clients that I've had to walk away from because I hate the way that they treated me. I hated their morals. I hated, like, I hate the way that they talk. I hate the way that there's so much, dude. Like, you have to work with clients in order to be like, okay, this is a client I can tolerate. This is a client I can't tolerate. So, like, there's so much on the videographer side. I mean, this can work for marketing agencies, or like, there's so many different places this can fit, but I'm talking mainly from the videographer standpoint of, like, make sure that the clients that you're working with are worth your time even. Like, don't be afraid to walk away from a client. Like, $100, $200 ain't shit when it comes to your stress and your peace, dude. Like, I wish I could have told myself that back in the day when I'm working with all these rappers trying to make a quick buck. They paid $200-$300 for this music video, and we're on round 15 of revisions. Like, piss off. Like, that's not worth my time. And it's just knowing what's worth your time and what's not. I guess a big one I can just briefly touch on is like Crate Campaign. I've done work for them in the past where it's either been free or at a heavy discount, and it's landed me in great positions with them to where, like, they now hire me consistently for commercial work for their programs. I mean, Wichita State, like, there was a client that I was working with them. I fell out with that client, and then eventually they split ways with the client as well, and they double backed and contacted me because we all enjoyed working together. And now I'm here full time because Cass made the joke of, like, why don't you just work with us? Or, like, well, I wish we had you full time. So there's a lot to it. I know I'm just babbling as I always do, but yeah, I really think being consistent is the best thing that you could do for your career in any career field. If you're a chiropractor, if I come to you one day and you do a great job, perfect. And then if I come to you another day and it's just I'm leaving in more pain than relief, I'm gonna come again to make sure that, maybe that was a slip up, maybe you had a bad day, or maybe it was just something with me. But if I come back that third time and I don't get a good adjustment, I'm probably moving on and finding somebody else. Same thing with like restaurants. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I know if I go to a restaurant, I spend some decent money on it, and the food is just mid, I'm not going back within the next 6 months. Like, I do like to give restaurants second chances because, like, yeah, I understand. Like, staff changes or whatever the case is. Like, but, like, it's just the consistency factor. Like, I mean, people always compare, like, or say that you need to be consistent on social media, but also you need to be consistent in your work ethic. You need to be consistent in the product that you're delivering. And just show up. At the end of the day, show up, be good. You don't have to focus on being great if great's going to pull you and have you be less consistent. Like, there's no reason to stress yourself to try to make the most perfect thing, because at the end of the day, speaking on the video standpoint and like the side of it, there's a lot of things where, I mean, I've done it in the music video world where I'm trying to make the video 2% better. Like, I'm so locked in trying to dial in this effect where I'm so blind to the fact that a normal person isn't going to catch what I'm trying to fix. And I'm just trying to fix it because I'm being a perfectionist on this. But me focusing on this is delaying the project by 4 days sometimes. Like, when it comes to like that world, I mean, a render could take, I mean, at that time, our computers weren't the best, so a render could take 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. And so it could really delay the project if you're just trying to tweak the most minute thing. It's, again, just focus on being consistent and good and not inconsistent and great. If that's the one thing that you get from this video today, like, that's one thing I wish I could have told myself when I first started was, just show up, be you, and be good. Like, I knew when I got to LA, the easiest way to fight through the LA like ranks was to just deliver as fast as I could. Like, that was the name of the game. Content was key. Like, people were just trying to be like the next one to post or like the first one to post. So whether it was concert photos or behind the scenes at a music video or really anything, I was editing in the car or in the Uber or whatever the case was. Like, after I left the shoot, typically LA, we knew we had a 45-minute to an hour drive, really anywhere we left. So I didn't really have a car then. Shout out my boy Thad for always driving us around. I can't thank that man enough for all that he's done for me. But it would always give me the time to sit there, pull out the iPad, pull out the laptop, edit the photos, upload them to Drive, and send them off before we even got home. And so these clients are like, oh, like, we're getting high quality professional photos this quick. And that's what really helped me grow out there. Like, that's how I ended up working with Woe Vicky. That's how I worked with Blockboy JB. I remember the Blockboy JB one specifically because that's what I did. We went and we shot, and they're like, hey, when can we get these photos? And I'm like, oh yeah, typically it takes probably a day to 2 days max. Like, I set that expectation. I get in the car and I just rip through them. And then I sent off that folder, and there's like, oh, awesome. Like, is this all of them? And I'm like, yeah. Like, when also too, being a photographer, one thing I always learned was I over deliver photos. Somebody asks how many photos am I going to get with this? I'll be like, typically like around 20, kind of depending on what it is, obviously. But I never like try to limit them being like, oh, I only deliver 20. Because I mean, dude, if the photo is in, or yeah, if the picture is in, like, the framing is good and it's sharp and it's not out of focus and it looks good with like their face, like they're not like, or anything, I typically am delivering that photo because who am I to say what's good in their eyes? So, I mean, there's been days where, like, I've delivered 3, 4, 500 edited photos to a client that's only expecting 20 to 30. And, like, you know, it's sometimes that Baskin Robin effect of like, oh my goodness, there's so much to choose from. But also, at the end of the day, it's like showing that, hey, like, I can deliver good content relatively faster than somebody that might take a week to deliver you these photos. And they're 10% better than what I produced. That's kind of where I've always lived my life, is aim to be good and consistent and not great and inconsistent. So if there's anything you take away from today's video in the car, it's that. Yeah, I'm gonna head home. This was a good one. Catch y'all.